Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak Minded. Now, before I get into this image, I would say I took it before going to the transplant games in Wales, Newport. Now, when I was there, I discovered some very interesting things that I will be showing you to do with the ancient past and how it's being covered up. And that you have to, say, reinterpret history and ancient history in a new way. And so that is upcoming. Before we do this, I'm just going to show you that this is when I took it, 24th of July at 21:09. Now, as I've been living in this house and I've been observing from my window the last couple of years, I have noticed from my observations that the sun sets in two positions, a summer and winter position. Now, in this photograph and the photographs following, which are just the same to be honest, but closer up and you'll see that there is absolutely evidence of two sunsets in this image. And so this is about perspective and distance, and I'm going to zoom in on this area over here. This position is where the summer sun sets, and as you can see, there is clearly a lovely orange glow on the horizon. So if that's the sun, what's this over here? Now, in the winter, the sun sets pretty much in between pretty much where they are, where I am now, over those roofs for me. So can you please, any of you, explain exactly how this light is being produced, for one, and where is it and where it's coming from? And let's zoom out. So you have a sunset over there on the horizon, and you also have a sunset here going on. Something is amiss. What is causing this phenomenon? It has absolutely nothing to do with global warming, but rather weather modification, geoengineering, and technologies which I've been trying to warn you about, that the military have. So you also see, now this is the point where most people lose it with me, that the clouds have got faces in them. You see the eye there, and there's like a mouth there. This is demonic. Sorry, once you get your eyes in, you'll be able to see it properly. It's like that. There's an eye, mouth. Demonic, alien looking beings. So aliens play a part of reality, but they are not what you think. In fact, a lot of extraterrestrials that we perceive to be extraterrestrial are the good guys. Bear in mind though that there are bad extraterrestrials that are, in all intents and purposes, manipulating our governments to do what's going on today. Whether people call that terraforming the earth, or what I'm saying, that they're literally trying to lower the frequency of the earth so that they can exist in the first place. Because, now this is ancient knowledge coming in, when the pyramids were built during the Golden Age around the world, They literally cannot exist in the first place, because of the frequency devices which we built. And so they have been destroying these devices, and through the guise of science have built, well, CERN, you know, the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, and people just tend to think that there's only just one experimental machine operating. And no, there isn't. There is at least 12 operating across the globe at the same time. Now, this has to do with frequencies. This has to do with creating a portal that allows these demonic souls, essentially, that's in Pandora's box, out into the world. So they're here in the clouds, and because they're all different sizes, it implies a great deal about the ancient past. That means that the giants once existed, not just, you know, as we found in the landscape and mud fossils, but literally you can see them with your eyes, as you know, if you're conscious. And they're all different sizes, and this is just one example, of course. So let's just, you know, it is explainable, but you need to know, unfortunately, everything that they've not taught you about reality, and that takes a long time to learn. And as your brain is like a computer, it takes a long time to process, and because it's to do with your thought processes, if you don't really think about it and actually don't care about it, you're not going to understand anything, because you literally have to think through your thought processes to get to a logical answer in your mind. You know, I can give you the answers, but it's not good, because you have to have the thought processes to go with it, which is why it's difficult to teach and speak the truth in these days, particularly when you're on a very high level of knowledge. So the blueprints that I've created absolutely can help in answering these questions. However, I'm going to do that for another day, as I need to carry on with where everything is on the blueprint which I've just, well, started. But as I've been away for the last 4 days, I've not been up to much. I've just been competing in the transplant games, and yeah, supporting other people, you know. Here we are. So there's two sunsets here, one in summer position and one in the winter position. I can't change what just is. Unfortunately, the enemy of all has used the knowledge of creation, which is basically the secret symbols that they use as a language in front of us, to deceive us all, using the maths of the Fibonacci sequence, while lying to us about the core principles of our existence. So mathematically speaking, the current cosmological principles is out by 1 in 120 zeros after it. It's the biggest mismatch in scientific history, and well, let's just say that they use the right math while lying to you, which is why everything works. So you must know their devices and how their devices work in order to actually understand their deception upon your mind about reality and your subconscious, because unfortunately, as your mind is like a computer, your subconscious is like an operating system. It doesn't turn on, and well, let's just say through the power of suggestion, which is hypnotherapy, you can be deceived massively by very, very clever tricks with technology and editing and repetition of a lie that the bankers have created since the 1800s to essentially well, emulate the technological creation by putting another sun up in low Earth orbit. Why there is 2 suns now? It has nothing to do with space, because space is water. This has to do with technologies in low Earth orbit and our government emulating everything to do with creation. And by which I mean, taking it further, that the cloud and our pineal gland, let's say, are interconnected. But there is an ancient cloud thing, let's say wireless network, in which our pineal gland is actually connected to, and this is called the Akashic record. Now, through meditative practices, you can access all information that exists, and this is exactly what they're doing with the internet and the cloud. And so when you have a chip in your brain and you go, yay, you can have access, you can be the smartest person on the earth because you can have all the answers, well, that is exactly the emulation of what you already have, the abilities you already possess. They're just emulating it, which is why you need to know about the truth and your soul abilities, so that you yourself, like me, can access information in the invisible, from the invisible, through your pineal gland, and wow, blow people's minds, essentially, because you've got knowledge that they don't want you to know, and there's no way they can stop you from getting it. No, because you're literally connected to it, you know, naturally. It's part of creation. And so this is where it gets complicated, because they're trying to record your lives, everything about you, what you do, how you react, everything, your actions, you know, and that's exactly what happens when you're born. You know, you have no privacy, your whole life is recorded, and this is how all souls can be judged. Now that is very, how can I say, it just gets more complicated and more complicated and more complicated when you keep going into deeper and deeper thought processes about our existence. Because a lot, you know, the more you think you know, the less you know, until you get to a point when you realize, hang on a minute, there's the answers. And then once you find those, you've let's say a foundation. So you rebuild a foundation, let's say your house, on core principles, which is truth. Not their core principles of space, cosmology, geology, history, ancient time, because everything we've been taught has been a deliberate lie for centuries, in order to literally now, in this time period, hive mind you with technologies in which you're already infected with, and that they're already, and now you're going to hear that this next connectivity of technologies is going to be amazing, and it's going to benefit our species. Has any technology today really benefited us? Look at our society. Look at the rest of the world and what our ignorance with this technology has done. You know, Zionism controls our resources, and they have been bombing indiscriminately people around the world to create a wow, what we see today, all nations walking amongst each other under the same roof of the devil and his lies. The serpent, the reptiles, you see, and this goes back to extraterrestrials. 2 suns, one setting in the summer, one setting in the winter. One's orange, one's white. The one that's white has a beam coming off it that is the colours of the rainbow. I think you can see the difference. Please, don't be scared of the truth, because I can't change what just is. So, sorry, the message is, it's I can't change what just is. I can only make you aware of it, and know that because you have an immortal soul, you should not fear death, the unknown, the normal. You should embrace your destiny and begin your journey and spiritual and emotional journey towards helping civilization understand who is their common enemy and how they have done it, why they have done it. Because if you don't, well, a lot of you are going to be in trouble big time. And I don't mean in a physical sense, I mean in a spiritual sense. I mean, there's a system here, and it's dualistic, and so you can go up or you can go down. And so the souls that are coming out from hell, they didn't listen to people like me in the past, 3,600 years ago, in the last end of days. So do you want to be like them and end up in Pandora's box and then be let out to be, you know, essentially putting a human through transhumanism as well, to be part of an army of the dead? Or do you want to be part of an army of the living and be part of something that you're actually destined to do, even though most of you don't know it yet? Survival of the fittest, people. You best get in shape. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, subscribe.